Let me guess. You go to the gym consistently. You're not skipping sessions. You're putting in the work, and yet something feels off. You don't look the way you train. You don't perform the way you look. You run a mile and your lungs file a formal complaint. You deadlift heavy, but you can't do 10 pull-ups without your soul leaving your body. You're not lazy. You're just training wrong. And deep down, you already know that. And the frustrating part, nobody told you. The fitness industry handed you a program built around one goal, usually looking good on a beat, and called it a day. Meanwhile, your actual body, the one that needs to carry groceries, run after your kids, and still look like you take care of yourself, got completely left behind. Today we're fixing that. This is hybrid training. Let's get into it. The problem, you're training, but you don't have a plan. Most people don't have an effort problem. They have a direction problem. You show up, you lift, you sweat, you go home. Next week, repeat. And after 6 months of doing exactly that, you look in the mirror and realize things haven't progressed the way they should have. Training became routine. And routine without progression is just movement with a good playlist. The real problem isn't what you're training. It's that you're training on autopilot. No structure, no progression, no clear objective connecting each session to the next. Monday's chest day because it always has been. Thursday is legs because someone said so 3 years ago and it was never questioned again. Cardio whenever you get around to it, which, curiously, is never... That's not a program. That's superstition with dumbbells. And your body is smarter than it looks. It only changes when you force it to adapt with new stimuli, with progressive overload, with demands it doesn't know how to handle yet. When you train the same way every single week, it stops responding completely. Like that coworker who, after a while, just stops reading your emails. That's where hybrid training changes the game. Not because it's harder, but because it's smarter. Before we go further, if you watched our last video, you already know what hybrid training is good. We're not going back to square one. If you didn't, quick version, hybrid training is strength and cardio programmed together on purpose, not random structure. The full breakdown is in the last video, link in the description. Go watch it after this. Here's the thing though, understanding what hybrid training is and actually knowing how to use it are two very different things. Most people get the concept. They just don't know how to put it into practice, how to structure their week, how to track progress, and how to know if it's actually working. That's exactly where we're going today. Boucle app, the training, how to build a simple hybrid program. Let's keep this practical. A solid hybrid week for most people looks like this. 3 to 4 days of strength training, compound movements as the foundation, squats, deadlifts, presses, rows, pull-up. These are the big lifts. The ones that build real functional muscle. Not the cable kickback. Not the thing you saw on Instagram where someone balances on a basu ball holding a dumbbell. Compound lifts, heavy, progressive, consistent, 2 to 3 days of cardio conditioning. And here's where it gets interesting. Not all cardio is created equally. You want a mix of zone to work and higher intensity efforts. Zone to cardio is low intensity, sustainable effort. Think, you can hold a conversation, but you're working. This trains your aerobic base, your engine. Most people have a terrible aerobic base because they only ever sprint or sit. Zone 2 fixes that. Aim for 30 to 45 minutes. 2 days per week. Walking with a weighted vest counts. Rowing counts. Cycling counts. Your ego might not love it, but your heart will. Then 1 day of higher intensity work. Hill sprints, rowing intervals, short, hard effort. This is where you build the top end of your conditioning. 1 day of rest or active recovery. Yes, rest is part of the program. Not because you're soft. Because physiology doesn't care about your motivation. It responds to recovery. The goal isn't to crush yourself every session. The goal is to get better every week. The concept, what hybrid training actually is. Here's the thing, nobody tells you about hybrid training. The progress doesn't always show up where you expect it. Most people are measuring the wrong things. They check the scale. They check their 1 rep max. And when those numbers don't move fast enough, they assume the program isn't working. So they switch programs, then switch again, then spend 6 months collecting routines they never finish, basically a Netflix queue, but for fitness. But hybrid training shows up in different ways first. And if you know what to look for, you'll realize you're progressing faster than you think. First signal, your recovery between sets improves. You used to need 3 minutes between heavy sets just to breathe like a normal human being. Now, 2 minutes feels comfortable. That's your aerobic base doing its job quietly in the background. Nobody claps for it at the gym. It doesn't care. It just keeps working. Second signal, you finish sessions with something left in the tank. Not every session should leave you destroyed on the floor, questioning your life choices and your relationship with barbells. If you're completing your workouts feeling challenged but not completely wrecked, that's the system working. Consistency beats heroism every single time. Heroism just gets injured more often. Third signal, your strength holds up later in the week. If your Friday lift feels almost as solid as your Monday lift, your conditioning is supporting your recovery. That's not luck. That's adaptation. Your body quietly did its homework while you were sleeping. Fourth signal, things outside the gym get easier. Stairs, carrying bags, running for a bus without your heart, filing a formal complaint. This is the one most people overlook, and honestly, it might be the most important one, because that's what you're actually training for. The gym is just where you practice. The numbers on the bar will come. The scale will shift. These signals show up first, and they tell you the engine is being built the right way. The final insight, this is about more than looking good. Here's what nobody says out loud. Most people don't just want to look strong, they want to be strong. They want to walk up 4 flights of stairs and not be out of breath. They want to move furniture without throwing their back out. They want to play with their kids and not tap out after 10 minutes. That's the real goal. And that's exactly what hybrid training delivers. If you're willing to do the work with intention, building a body that looks good and performs well isn't a compromise. It's a higher standard. It requires more discipline, better programming, and a longer view. You're not training for the mirror, you're training for your life. The guy who can squat 200 kilos and run 5 kilometers in under 25 minutes is not just aesthetically impressive. He's genuinely capable. That's a different category of person, and it's available to anyone willing to train for it consistently. Strength is not a look. Performance is not a feeling. They're outcomes built through deliberate, structured work over time. That's the dad pull philosophy. And now, it's your program. If you made it this far, congratulations. You just spent several minutes actually thinking about your training instead of scrolling through someone's transformation photos and feeling bad about yourself. That's already progress. Subscribe to Dad Pull. Every week we cover the science, the programming, and the mindset behind building a body that's strong, capable, and doesn't quit on you when life gets inconvenient. No fluff, no miracle programs, no advice from guys who have never missed a meal or a sleep cycle in their lives. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me, what's the one thing in your training you've been doing for years and never once questioned? Could be an exercise, could be a rest period, could be the fact that you always skip legs when it's raining. No judgment, I've seen worse, probably done worse. I read every comment and your answer might just become next week's video, which means your bad habits could accidentally help thousands of people. Truly the butterfly effect no one asked for. And if you've got a friend who trains hard, goes to the gym religiously, and still looks exactly the same as 3 years ago, send him this video. It's free. And deep down, he already knows he needs it. See you next week. Now go train. You've been sitting here long enough. Dad Pull train strong. Train smart. Train complete.